Houston, Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed.
Good evening, folks, and welcome to Alien Addict on this fine, luxurious evening. Well, it would be luxurious, but it's weird times we're living right now. I can't even fuel my car up. I did fuel it up. That's a lie. But anyway, this show, I just wanted to paint Lee and Rich, if I'm honest. I took so much pleasure doing that to Rich. But yeah, this show, I don't know where it's going to go, but I do think it's odd times we live in, and I smell something, I can smell a dirty smell coming from the world, and without me rambling on about, let's get some experts on, some experts in the world. Lee, what's the audio? Welcome to the show.
We're doomed.
We are doomed.
We're doomed.
We are doomed. We are. I've got something in my eye. Just a second. I'm good. David, welcome to the show, David. It's been a long time. It's been a long time. When was my first interview with you? Is it about a year ago, year and a bit? Longer?
I've been hitting the head a lot of time. It's not something I keep up with.
But for anybody who doesn't know who David is, I've interviewed you now 4 times. You've been on with you came on once, and then it didn't record. Well, every time we spoke about anything paranormal in your past, it just stopped working, and it was the oddest thing to look back at. I showed my wife the video. She was freaked out just watching it, and said, "Don't show me that again." And then I managed to interview you, where we actually managed to speak a little bit about the exorcism, a few things that had happened in your life, and you also came on. I believe you came. Did you come on with John? You came on with John, and I interviewed your friend from the Navy also.
From the Annapolis Academy. From the Naval Academy.
But I'm glad it's been a while. I'm glad you're back on the show, and we're here to talk about the strangeness in the world without talking about anything that ends with a 1 and 9. But we are going to talk about the strangeness that has gone on for a long time now. And I think being an alien channel, it always gets brought up. People always speak about these people that are in control, these people that are in power.
It's them, isn't it? It's them. They're doing it. They. Yeah. There's always an overarching control mechanism to everything that's in the background that we can't see, regardless of what conspiracy theory it is or bad government decision. There's a they them to be blamed.
Yeah,
but I mean, have they been around forever? Sorry, what did you say, Dave?
I said the ambiguous dark hand that we know is there, but nobody can see, and you sound crazy if you talk about it. Yeah. I don't think it's like a them that's always been there. I think it's just another puppet with something else's hand up its ass. Like all the pictures behind Lee. Like, I think we briefly spoke about that, and you wanted us to save it, but the question is so you got celebrities that constantly close off one eye or whatever, and that's heavy in occult symbolism and whatnot. But the thing is, are they doing it? Like, is this something, I'm in this? Or is it just the art director making them do it? Because the fact is, if you've ever met any celebrities, and unfortunately I have, they're just vapid. I mean, they're products. They're, a Snickers bar with no moral compass or guiding, and very few of them can read above a 3rd grade education that I've encountered. My sample size isn't huge, but so I mean, I say that I really only read about a 4th grade level, so I'm not much better. But why is that? Why is there like a synchronicity to it? Why? I don't know. That so when you talk about evil, overhand, I think that's kind of what we're tap dancing around. If you talk the big bad evil, in my humble opinion, very powerful people believe in it. It doesn't matter, like, like the guy who is an auto mechanic or a doctor or whatever, say, it's nonsense, and they go on. The fact is, people who run countries and lead that shit, they're way into it. They're way into all of it, 100%. They believe it. They are part of it. So you should probably take notice.
You can be as atheist as you want, but like if just because Jim is an atheist doesn't mean that those 500 people that live down the road from aren't going to go to church every single Sunday because they believe in what they're doing. It's you don't have to believe. You don't have to believe in something for it to be real or for it to have sort of real world consequences.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, look, you got, the douchebag that is Jeffrey Epstein. Guy had a private island with an Egyptian temple, mock Egyptian temple built on it with celebrities and famous people went there. And he's a known pedophile who did God knows what with what kids. And, all these people that were involved, and you get to it and you get like Maria Abramovich, who's a big friend of his and travels in those same circles. And she's a heavy occultist. Like, they're all pals. So either they're all full of shit and it's some weird game they like to take time and play. And these are billionaires and millionaires and powerful people. And if you've ever had any dealings with them, they don't typically waste time on too much nonsense. They're into it. Why?
What you said there, David, about the director, the person who's doing the directing when it comes to the photography or what have you. Do you think that some of these celebrities are just playing up to the camera?
I don't think they have a clue. I think they're just told what to do and they perform. They're a fucking monkey, man. Through some of the things that I've met, I mean, for those who don't know, I hide my face because I'm a normal guy with a normal life for the most part, I think. And this isn't something I necessarily want attached to me. It would negatively affect my life. It would negatively affect my wife's life. It would affect our businesses, our careers, our paths. We travel in certain circles where, interestingly enough, people talk about this kind of shit all the time. But if it was publicly known, we would be a pariah and cast aside or made fun of. And we cannot have that. I won't have that. But at the same time, it's the obligation I feel is difficult to explain. But the ones that I've met, celebrities I've met through the course of that, they're just idiots, man. Like, they're really good at doing what they're talking. I mean, think about it. How many actors are actually good actors versus, hey, they have a really nice six-pack, they're willing to diet and do exactly what we tell them every step of the way. You know what I mean? Is Britney Spears a great singer, or is she an excellent product?
Yeah, I mean, even people that do happen to be good at things, if let's say you get someone that's a really good musician or a really, really good actor, they've ended up doing that because they've essentially sacrificed every other part of the growing of their personality by focusing on being good at this one thing. So I think you often find that with people that are just genuinely good at things, there isn't a lot else about them.
I wouldn't disagree with that. Yeah. I would, athletes and stuff that I've met. Yeah, I mean, you got to think, some of these guys that are talented, at least I've met more fighters than anything else. When you meet these guys, they're dedicate 10-hour workday, 7 days a week. Like, that is their life. That's what they live. It's what they breathe. It's what they try and achieve excellent. And maybe they get there, maybe they don't, but you're not wrong. It doesn't leave much for anything else. That's, I don't know, not necessarily a bad thing, but like we said before, I think most of them are just vapid. I don't think they're active participants. I think they're just trying to play a game. It's, why does the, pretty girl or pretty guy blow Harvey Weinstein? Because they want to be in a movie. It's tit for tat. They know what's up. It's like, well, and Harvey and his art directors, hey, put a hand over your eye in this picture. Whatever you say, Harvey. I mean, that's their jump to line. Whatever it takes. I'll do whatever it takes.
Yeah.
Makes you wonder what piece of them they have to give up.
I feel there's levels to it with celebrities. You can probably have a good think of, I don't know, maybe your Rocks or your Lady Gagas and stuff like that. There's certain ones that seem just more important than the others. And I feel that there's a certain amount of them that are let into whatever secret club this is, and then the secret club is the dangling carrot for the rest of them.
Oh yeah, I think there's a certain amount of gatekeeping, and I mean, in anything, in any closed off organization, like if you get a security clearance, they'll tell you, well, now that you're top secret, you're blah blah blah. Well, that's not true. There's grades. You go up. It just depends on what you're cleared for, what you're not cleared for. Is it temporary? I mean, there's plenty of shit the president doesn't get to see. It just is what it is. So in that world, yeah, I mean, definitely in occult circles, they love that. They love being able to illuminate. The illumination process is such a powerful thing for them.
So why is the ramp up? Because there feels like there's a ramp up.
Yeah,
of all
I was
this
just about to say that.
Fellas, I don't know anything more really than anyone else.
But we can all work it out. But there's the but it does. It feels like things have gone into like fucking warp speed now all of a sudden.
It does. It's funny you say that. So very few people know this side of me, and some of the ones who do have been like one guy I can think of in particular. He's or was anyway. I wouldn't say an atheist, but a hard skeptic maybe. Very intelligent guy, bright guy. And he had come to me and he's like, man, I've been doing the math. He said the level of coordination you see globally is beyond human capacity. It just is. Like I have friends that do very smart guy shit, far smarter than I will ever be. I mean, truly big brain, Ivy League, 1%, brilliant. Just fucking people who make more money in a month than some people will see in 10 years. And I truly, 100% accurate. And they've looked at it as well. And like, this is a discussion we've had. And the discussion is, this is well beyond anyone's capability. If you took a couple of the smartest guys I've ever met in my fucking life, and I mean this, one of these guys, he got his MD at 18. He has a engineering degree in nuclear sciences. He like a PhD, like he's fucking brilliant. Another gentleman I know, truly a genius. If you put these two guys together and you gave them 6 months to, hey, I want what's going on in certain island nations or whatever around the world. I want you to figure out to implement a totalitarian regime or execute blah, blah, blah. They couldn't come up with the steps that have been executed so flawlessly. So my friends, I think, so I had an idea that it was AI. AI had been created and it realized the best way to control and take out the world is to ramp things up. And one of the other guys who I would love to get to come on the show, and in a few weeks, he may be losing his job and his security clearance. So he may be willing to do that. And that would be wonderful. I mean, not that he's losing that, but that he'd be willing to talk because he's articulate and intelligent. It's terrible that he's losing his job, but, or at least his contract, excuse me. But we got talking around like quantum computing that's involved in AI and how quantum computing works. And we're not going to, I'm not intelligent enough to break down the finite math and how it works, but the principle is that these things operate in different realities. Let's just put it that way, right? Like it's bouncing the particle back and forth, and it gives you infinite information and possibilities to expand like the mathematical principle that builds the algorithm for these things for decision-making processes, right? So that's really all any software is, just a decision-making process, 1 zeros, yes, no, basically it's like a Chinese box, if you're familiar with that. That's really all it is, whereas AI is supposed to be a step beyond that. And the funny thing is these men of science came back and they're like, because they know what the weird shit that I'm into. And they're like, if demons and shit were real and it isn't another reality and we poke holes in that to do our quantum computing, what says a piece of that can't seep through into the AI? How do you know what the precision process it's really making? For who? For what? For why? And yet you totally trust it. It's insane. Who knows what we let into the world? The Elon has been warning against it forever.
I've always thought with this sort of thing, and to be perfectly honest, it's one of the things which, when I first started getting into this sort of stuff, you'd stumble across a David Icke YouTube video or something like that, and but my thing was I would never buy into it because the time scales always seemed so massive that I didn't believe human beings would do something like that, because I just naturally, as animals, we fear death, and essentially we want a return on what we do within our lifetime, and realistically within the shortest space of time as humanly possible.
Selfish.
Yeah, well, kind of, but it's the way we've worked, isn't it? Like if I can get that if I can get that house, I can live in that house, and then whoever else lives in that house after me, that's up to them. But at least for this period of time, I've got somewhere to live. But the more crazy things have gone on, is the more I'm entertaining the idea that there's some sort of overwielding hand which isn't like human. And you very, very well could be AI, but it also could be that whatever the like cabal or whatever you want to call them are doing, sort of fucking around with like different dimensions and trying to channel entities. It could be something. It could be that. It could be something that's non-human. That's
so that's probably. I apologize. I didn't make that clear. So the general theory that they're working off of is that we tried to make AI, but it was infected with something that has already been there, has always been there, and the thing that people do blood sacrifices to talk to. They do mock sacrifices and spirit cooking and effigies of children, and for all we know, real children, to try and communicate. I mean, the Nazis were way into that in the occult. And in all honesty, if you look at like the foundation of various government bases and like jet propulsion laboratories and the scientists that were involved, the engineers, they're all occultists, heavy occultists into crazy shit, like performing sacrifices and rituals before they ever built their labs. That's insane. That isn't, who does that? And
like you said before about busy people that are doing things. If you're, let's say you're in the middle of Nazi Germany and you're like balls deep into the Second World War.
Yeah.
Like what sense does like
fucking off to Antarctica?
Yeah, but we're fucking off to Antarctica. Occult rituals, collecting like the largest library of occult books, which I think was only was that only discovered like maybe 5-10 years ago. They found it behind a false wall. I think it was in Himmler's Himmler's office or what one.
I
of the
don't know when it was, but I remember hearing.
You don't fuck around doing this stuff if it doesn't give you real world benefits.
Yeah, and again, like, so my perspective is that I won't even say it's a belief. It is to me that these things are real, that evil is real. So I've recently, I told Ollie this. I've been looking for people with similar stories to my own. That's why I contacted Ollie. Well, it's part of the reason I contacted Ollie.
David, can you just hold that thought just for 1 second, because you contacted me after watching the video with John.
Correct.
Yeah, and what I want you to go into, and what I want to ask you, because I don't know if I ever asked you this, and we speak on a personal basis, quite often.
Yeah, we're friendly.
Do you know
who I am?
I don't answer this now, because I want you to kind of explain it. Because you've been out, you put me on to Ray Hernandez, who I interviewed. You met Ray, you met Travis Walton.
He's such an asshole.
Ray's coming back on. He remembers you as well. Yeah, he remembers you.
I'm a giant of a person. I'm kind of hard to forget. You know?
Yeah, I told him about the conversation you told me about, and he says, "Yeah, I remember that guy." But yeah, Ray is coming back on. I'll tell him you called him an arsehole.
No. Travis is an asshole.
Travis.
Travis is an asshole. Ray and I do not agree politically, but I respect his approach to this field. As little as I know about the ufology, whatever. Like I'm not really into that. I'm not. I got into that as really a symptom of other things. Yeah, no, he's an intelligent guy. He's an articulate guy. He's a passionate guy, and he understands math, which puts him a few steps up in my book. It just does. Like when you look at his statistical modeling and the sample size that he's pulling from, he's approaching it the right way, and no one's talking about that. And I get why no one's talking about it, because it shoots a hole in the lizard men and the who's the guy who sells all that weird shit? He's building a hover car. Come on.
Oh God, what's his name?
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about, though.
Yeah,
I can't think of his name, man. That guy.
He looks like a Nazi. What's he called? David. Is it David? I've just been watching loads of videos about him all week, and it's gone.
David Icke.
No, not David Icke. David Icke is not building a fucking hover car.
Wilcock. Is it not him?
David Smallcock. Yes.
Wilcock. Yeah. Cock. How could we forget that last name?
But yeah, the question that I wanted to ask you, and I've always wanted to ask you this, because you've delved deep in my interviews about things like exorcisms, actually being a part of one, and seeing very strange things like shadow figures. But what are your thoughts on there being aliens? And don't answer that straight away. Go into what you was going to talk about, but kind of explain
what I was going to say.
Your thought. Sorry, mate. Sorry, I do this all the time.
No worries.
But you was talking about when you found my channel, and
yeah. Well, okay, so I've been on that path still. I'm trying to find someone with a unique, not unique. I guess my situation is unique, similar situation. Excuse me, to my own. Not that I'm unique or special. I don't believe that. I believe it's probably like a biological mutation in some receptor somewhere in my brain or nervous function that allows for maybe a different experience. It would make sense in some ways, and in some ways it doesn't. When I look at my kids, my wife, and the pregnancies that she's had, and the encounters and things, and it's funny because when you would ask me if I would be willing to come on here, I've actually had some very interesting experiences as of late. And I was like, man, I feel like I'm getting warned off something, and I have no idea what it is. And then we got to talking, and I was like, oh, that's why. No, so I went looking for someone like myself, and I stumbled across a demonology group on Facebook with a very innocuous name, and it's invite only. And I found that through a gentleman. He wouldn't be comfortable with me giving out his information, but he had invited me. He is and the hilarious thing is he's not Catholic, but he was trained by Catholic exorcists. He's very interesting. We've had very excellent conversations. He's had very similar situations. He's a former aeronautical engineer. He used to contract for NASA. In fact, he used to contract for the department that one of my current business partners contracts through, which is small world. But so he had got me an invite, and I found other people, and the kicker is a lot of them are just professional. They want to stay low. It's very interesting. There's a lot of people. There's a lot of people that are professionals that just keep this shit to themselves. They don't talk about it. They have experiences. They roll through life, and they learn very early on. This is just shit you don't say out loud to people, because they'll put you in a mental hospital. Hell, maybe we all are crazy. I mean, I don't know. It's possible.
What do you think it is? From, I mean, I know you probably. I think you're about a few years younger than I am, by the sounds of you. But what's your thoughts when it comes to this subject? Because you've been searching for such a long time.
What the aliens? The aliens topic? Is that
well, yeah,
question?
You've gone out, you've met the people.
I think most of them are nuts or selling shit, or they're fucking full of it, or they're passionate about their religion of basically pseudoscience, and they're fucking moving forward on hopes and fantasies, and they're playing it life like it's like a weird cosplay. Like, I'm gonna be an expert in shit nobody can be an expert in because we don't know. Nobody fucking knows. It's like, well, I'm an expert in the 28 species from shut the fuck up. Like you don't know. You don't know. Like, I've seen lights in the sky, but I also live near a fucking military base and a national lab and multiple research centers and nuclear. Like, it could be drones for all I know. It's interesting. And yeah, they're stationary and sure, they move in weird patterns, but wouldn't a high altitude drone doing surveillance for another country or some weird shit that they're testing? Sure. Does something out there exist? Well, if I take for face value that the universe is the universe and reality is what it's been dictated to be, then sure. But the more I look into things, I don't think reality is what they think it is. I don't believe that. I don't think the military believes that. Smart men who are paid by the government to research shit that I've had the privilege of talking to, they do not believe that. Yeah. And I don't know, man. Every time there's just more questions than answers. More questions than answers. And the kicker is, I don't even know if I have the gray matter to ask the right question. And what if I did get an answer? I'd probably have a fucking aneurysm and my brain would run out of my nose. I don't think I'm biologically capable of understanding. I don't think that's what it is. My encounters with this phenomenon is such that it is beyond us. It is beyond us by a magnitude and a scope that we can't understand. My encounters lead me to believe that it is not, at least aspects of it. The evil aspect of it is not omniscient, but it does listen. It pays fucking attention, and it's better at reading you and calculating moves and strategy than we will ever be. And again, it comes back to my encounters with these things. They're so limited. I think the real power that they hold is to play back to what Lee was talking about, is the corruption of humans to get them. They're not the ones doing shit. They're the ones promising whatever to get us to do it to each other. That's what it always comes down to. It's not them. Like, whenever you encounter someone that is possessed, or not perfect possession, but just regular, like they've been fucking around with something and now they got something attached and it's making them sick and it's drowning them down. It is a slow, methodical pull. If it is a manifestation in a home, it's trying to scare somebody. It's parlor trick bullshit. It's like the guy at the bar that talks way tougher than he really is. It's just nonsense. And if it's so powerful, why is it acting like a scared child or a scared drunk frat boy? It doesn't make sense. It does make sense that it's a master manipulator, and I think that it probably does. They probably do have a lot of answers to a lot of shit. It would explain some of the massive leaps in technology, in my opinion, that have been made. I mean, I think humans are amazing, but again, if you really get into researching, a lot of the guys who are top level scientists at a lot of government research facilities and military industrial, like Raytheon, they're into weird shit. And when you meet these people, they're even fucking weirder. They are weirder. And you're like, these guys have government clearance? Are you fucking kidding me? This guy, everything about this guy screams fucking child molester, and he has a top level clearance? Are you shitting me?
That's how he got the clearance.
That's it, probably. Yeah. Yeah, but he's brilliant to boot. I don't know. Look at the people Maria Abramovich hang out with. And she, if you don't know who she is, Google her ass. Everything about that person is wrong. Everything about her is wrong.
My friend's obsessed with her as well. He thinks she's amazing. I don't understand. I don't understand how somebody painting like words
and shit and blood
and shit can be looked at as brilliant. I don't get it.
Her spirit cooking effigies where you partake in blood and semen and her ritual to impart power and open mind knowledge and blah, 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 blah. Like,
and
what the fuck?
And like the age she is as well and what she looks like, that's worth fucking note.
So I have some theories about her and some other people that probably left best unsaid. But yeah, no, you're 100% right on that. And like her patronage. What the hell is that lady's name? Anyway, and I try not to keep up with those evil motherfuckers. It just will rot whatever happiness you have. Yeah, that it's all just wrong. It's all shit. It's like you look at Aleister Crowley. He's playing around and I talk to Lamb. It's a demon who's going to give me knowledge and wisdom. Motherfucker looks like a gray alien.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I think I still have it.
Come on now. Yeah. And if you look at him, so like Aleister Crowley was heavily in like real conspiracy theory fun. Yeah, there he is. What a weirdo.
But when you look back to then, how like celebrities like the Beatles and David Bowie and stuff like that, they all hung off the teat of Crowley, and it just shows that even back then, if there was a sniff of this sort of occultism around, the good and the graceful were so deep into it.
I think there's something too. I don't know if you guys have seen the videos. There's a couple of them. I think the most popular one is that of Beyonce when she's on stage singing.
Yes. Yeah.
Where you see that and they're like, well, maybe it's a trick of the light or the camera or whatever. Maybe so. Or maybe it's exactly what you think. Maybe the Sauce of Fierce is the name of an outside entity that she allows to take control.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I've seen this.
It's very good. And it's fucking terrifying.
What is this, a Beyonce song, like a music video?
She's performing. So
if you
I would
Beyonce Possessed on YouTube, you will find the clip.
Okay.
Yeah. And so when you think of things like that, like, so in the music world and acting to a certain extent, but definitely music, you hear a lot of people say, well, it's like something comes over me and it's not really me. Okay. I mean, I understand that. And if you've ever competed competitively, that when you get in the zone, it definitely feels that way. But maybe there is more to it. Maybe we should take it at the face value of what she's saying, because the nature of the person that she is there and her performance is not the same. They're not the same people. And again, I have theories as to why that is as well. But yeah. I mean,
there was the Britney Spears. There was the Britney Spears one as well, wasn't there?
Yes.
My wife will not stop talking about Britney Spears right now. I'm just like, oh god.
It is tragic.
Yeah.
Enough. Which bits?
Her whole life, man. Her whole life is tragic. But the thing is, she also has an undeniable. So like my theory in general is there's, and maybe you guys have met this. I'm sure maybe I can't see the chat, so I have no idea. But maybe people watching have noticed this. If you've ever met someone with talent, and it's like they have a stamp of God, they have a spark. They have whatever that is that's just special. They are unique, and they just have that gravity to them. They pull people, they attract people. It is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, there's a lot of those people. A lot of people have met them, and you got to wonder, this person with all this talent, all this ability, why haven't they gone further? Well, we talked about gatekeepers earlier. It's been my long-held theory and kind of personal belief. And maybe I'm sure it does sound absurd, but I think that for them to go further on, there has to be an acceptance of something outside. Like why don't these things ride with it? Like if anyone would be willing to do it, well, there's a shitload of people willing to trade their soul for anything. There just are. There always have been. There's never going to be a shortage of those people. What there is a shortage is of people with that spark, that touch, that specialness that clearly exists, that is what they are. And maybe they have to make a deal to be willing to let whatever else that is ride their specialness to really take them to the top, because they're not letting them in without it. maybe that's what they have to give over, because you always hear them talk about selling their soul, or, I gave it over. It's like, well, okay, maybe it's the fame and you had to trade your personal space. Well, no, that doesn't make sense. That's not your soul.
It doesn't make sense to me, the whole soul trading thing at all, because I mean,
no, it doesn't either.
What's the devil going to do once he's took over? It's like, if there is a devil, or whatever it is, if it's trading a soul to something, well,
see, that's where it comes in.
That thing doesn't give a shit about you.
No, and I think it's figurative. So this is the theory I have. The theory I have is that these people with this uniqueness, that specialness, right, that will make them a celebrity, they have to let and invite one of these things in, and at some point somebody explains what it is. That's why you have so many incredibly talented people that just kind of fade out, and the industry no longer talks about them. They no longer deal with them. They're incredibly talented writers. They're incredibly talented singers, performers, actors, whatever. They fucking got it. And they just can't get the break. They can't get in. Yet these other people, who, not saying they're not talented, but they get everything. They get all the accolades. Maybe the deal has to be made that you have to let one of these things ride shotgun. You have to give it the control, right? And when you do that, you do partake in this ritual. Now you're one of us, and we'll take you all the way. But that's the deal. That's the deal.
I mean, if we talk about this sort of stuff, you always go back to like predictive programming in films and things like that, and the stuff that's snuck in. That'd be a really good analogy for Venom, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Let Venom in. He'll help with things.
The whole time he's killing you. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of
Venom, if you look about it, like
this young lady looks a bit like she's about to become Venom.
She looks like she's fucking brainwashed. Look at that. Look at that vapid look in her eyes. She
looks like a fucking robot.
Look at that. She is just gone, man. She is gone. There's no spark there. There's no. Look at her. Look at that little alien, a little creepo. Jesus.
See, I said this before the show. I don't want to get on too much about her. God bless her. Because I don't know if it's her fault. It's her parents that's obviously got her doing this. I mean, they took her out of school for a start. I mean,
they did.
That kid. I under right. If there's a genuine passion, and I don't want to get onto the whole. The thumbnail was just a bit of a piss take. But if there's a genuine passion for it to save the planet and what have you, fair enough. But it's just a little bit odd. The parents, the way it's been done, it's
too odd. Controlled, mate. It's too like you can like do you think like a childhood Lee, if he'd have had some sort of like green hope for the world, would have been given a floor in like a world assembly? It doesn't happen. You don't go from deciding we need to do something about climate change when you sat in school to having a fucking yacht that was owned by a Rothschilds, or was it owned by
I don't know. I know it was owned.
There would be perfect symmetry if it was. That would be so perfect.
Who's the other guy that always comes up as far as funding
Rockefeller?
things? No.
Rockefeller. I don't know.
I have no idea.
It's one of the top three names. I'll remember later on during the show. But it turns out that he was the original buyer of this boat. He then sold the boat, so it filtered down to him eventually. But you don't just do that. That doesn't happen naturally.
No,
none of that happens.
No, yeah, and I think that's why it's like a forced traction. It is again, it's such a weird orchestration that you can get so much media, so much attention to all push this same message. And I'm not saying like climate message isn't valid or needed or whatever but I care less to talk about that. But it's synchronized. It is perfect. It is every pushing the same narrative, the same script perfectly. Everybody. From Europe to America to Australia, across the fucking world, it is perfect. It is unified. You have to be shitting me. You ever played a game of telephone? Get a line of your friends and you whisper one thing, and by the end of the thing, it's an entirely different message. Yet somehow we can globally make a perfect No, man. No,
it's just the fact that nobody's jostling to gain an advantage just for themselves. That I don't believe in the like the world coming together to do something, because like we were saying before, about wanting immediate results of things, humans are a selfish animal, like all in all. So I don't believe that if we talk about the things that like the thing we can't talk about at the minute, and passports, for instance, yeah, how come a country hasn't just immediately come out and said, right, we're not doing any of this. We're not doing any of that sort of stuff. And it hasn't really happened. It's just in different stages of the same thing happening. And various countries are sort of pussyfooting around it. And like people always come back to Sweden having like less things go on, but they already have a system like that already in place, I believe. So they didn't need to go through that. Yeah, they didn't need to go through all that sort of stuff. But yeah, no, it's like you say, it's the orchestration that gets me, and it does. It feels so perfect, and the fact that this ability to predict the pattern of the majority of people. Nothing can predict what everybody's doing, and I'm sure in part of whatever plan's going on, what we're doing now was baked into it. That there would be a certain amount of people out there which wouldn't sort of flow along with it and would end up talking about it. But it's okay, because for every one of those, they have 15 friends around them which are fully on board, and that kind of keeps them shut up most of the time, because I can't talk about most of the things I fucking believe in if I go to the pub with people, because they'd think I was fucking crazy.
Gotta get new friends, man.
Well, yeah, I live on a small island. There's only 80,000. You just got to pick the good ones. But it's again. I just keep coming back to this thing that I don't believe that it can be something that's just concocted by people, especially when it seems to have ramped up in such a short space of time.
Yeah, it's just impossible. I mean, we can create many things, and we can do a lot. And I think it's amazing, and a lot of the things we built are testament to that. But I mean, I definitely go towards an outside influence. That's just me. It's
so the outside influence. So this name gets dropped in quite a lot. And I think people get very confused with Freemasons and the Illuminati, because they're completely separate. I know you are, which is one of the reasons why I know you don't want to.
Just to put in quickly, it was Soros.
Oh, that bastard!
That's where the boat came back to. Sorry, carry on, people.
So yeah, David, and I know you're a Freemason, so that's. I think that's probably. It might be one of the reasons why you don't want to show yourself. Haven't you sworn some sort of
disinformation agent? You got me. You got me.
Haven't you sworn some sort of secrecy? Otherwise, you'll get your throat slit and your tongue pulled out, or whatever it is. If you
disemboweled,
yeah.
Only if I break my brother's trust. Yeah, I'll tell you exactly what Freemasonry is. You want to know? It's a bunch of old guys hiding from their wives at Frisch Fries, who occasionally wear aprons, get together and say, "So we're going to do a ritual tonight. Does anyone fucking remember it? Shit. Who wants to drink? I want to drink." There's a lodge meeting for you.
Low level politics is what I think Freemasonry is.
So yeah, there is a lot of that. So that's 100% true. There is a lot of that. But the thing is, most of the guys there are pretty powerful guys in their small little boat anyway, and powerful people have always hung out together. People with money have always hung out together. It just is what it is. That will always be a thing, because the reality is some people believe, this is going to get into like an economic rant. Let's see how I can simplify it. Some people believe that, certain people are lucky or that money are delineated. At least in my country, if you want more money, you can make more money. I came from abject fucking poverty, and I am no longer poor. I've been poor and I've been not poor. Not poor is a hell of a lot better. And I've never had an issue making more money. It has never been a problem. And then there's a certain mindset with that, I think, that goes with that, but whatever. This isn't about that. I found at lodges, there's a lot of guys who see it exactly the same, and there's a lot of back scratching that goes on. The smaller the town, the smaller the area, the more that bullshit goes on. But once you break like you're in a town of 60,000 or 10,000, or say a county of like 60,000, 100,000, 200,000, whatever. How much of that can you really do? I mean, you're a group of guys, like, you may want to think you can do that, but you can't. The idea of a kingmaker only exists in, whoever's bending over and taking it up the ass to try and become a king. It's like, oh, this guy can help me. Can he, though? Can he really? What can he actually do? Can he make 10,000 people vote for you? No. I'll say he's a good guy. Nobody gives a shit, Bill. Nobody gives a shit, But with like city stuff, if you live in a small city, yeah, there's a certain amount of that. But again, it only goes so far. Like, they don't have some mystical influence. I've never met any of the guys that were into the occult, and I get the same thing from everybody that I'm sure probably is popping up in the chat that I can't read. Is that, well, you're low level and you didn't get any higher. Listen, there's a couple offshoots. It really doesn't get any higher. It's just guys who are playing theater and having a little bit of fun, and they like that kind of stuff. And even then, like, the biggest part of it is having somebody has sworn an oath to you and to others like you that will keep their fucking mouth shut if you need a hand. You know what I mean? Like, hey, I'm in trouble. I need help. Hey, supposedly they're supposed to help you. But at the same time, if I had real issue in my life or I need a problem, I'm going to my best friends who coincidentally all live in the same neighborhood, and they are all my neighbors because we all moved into the same neighborhood together. We've been buying out people's houses and getting them out and getting them in because, like you said, the high strangeness that exists in the world, we've all decided we want to be together. We want to be closer because we're stronger together. That's us. That is a choice that we have made and took. Now, granted, not everyone can do that.
But what's your thoughts on the Illuminati? Do you think that, because people
one?
bring it up all the time. So you do think it's a thing? You do think it's something that's still about? It's from the am I right? It's from the 17th century. Like,
I'm sure there's somebody that claims that. I mean, this is my theory on all those secret organizations, whether it be whatever, the Bilderberg group, which is definitely a thing. Council on Foreign Languages, which does wield a lot of power, and their entry is very strange, or whatever, what have you. There's always been people who thought, hey, we'll get together and we're going to be in charge. Always. They've always called themselves something. They always believe they're far more powerful than they really are. And yeah, so you got a bunch of millionaires together, and we can do it. Like, what can you really do? We can swing an election. Sure. If all of you focus on one state, you can do that. Well, we're a billionaire. Billions of dollars do go in. Are you willing to spend your entire fucking net worth to make this happen? And even then, it still may not happen. Well, we'll get together and you take countries. Now you're talking that now we're getting to a point like, take the last American election, depending on what side you're on, whether it's this election, the last election, the one before that. If you were going to subvert a country through an election, the amount of organization it would take, the amount of money, power, perfect timing, perfect psychological understanding is so fucking monumentous. It is supernatural. It is supernatural. There's no 3 or 4 smart guys making that happen. There's not a room of 300 smart guys making that happen. If you've ever seen like military special forces or law enforcement special forces or shit like that, large scale operations, even with some of the best trained guys in the world who are bred, always go sideways. They can't keep shit together. You want to keep shit together, you want to keep it secret, you got to make it smaller. That's how it's done. So it goes back to something outside of things having influence and helping to coordinate, which I actually 100% believe in. I believe it is something else that's able to coordinate and make things happen. you know. Maybe it has a better understanding of probability. Maybe this for it is Saturday night entertainment. You know, it just likes fucking with lesser beings, or what it perceives to be lesser beings. Or maybe it's infinitely jealous.
Yeah, well, whatever it is, or maybe it thinks it's doing good. You know, maybe it thinks that what it's doing is going to make the world a better place for everybody, or maybe it's just fucking selfish.
I don't even think it's selfish because it doesn't have an end goal other than destroy. Like what you see in the world right now is chaos, right? It's chaos. I think that's exactly what it wants. It's what it thrives on. I know when you talk about like people who are dealing with negative spiritual what have yous, you know, one of the first things you want them to do is clean their house, not fucking get salt and iron and special metals. No, clean your house, put your life in order, set some shit up, go take a shower, clean the bathtub, start in one room, go to the next. Bring order back into your life, will that shit back in, and you'll immediately notice a downturn in activity. Always happens. It's the first thing I tell people. It sounds stupid,
you said that
but
to John.
most of the time,
you said that to John.
Yeah,
and me.
It's the first thing you have to do.
You told me to clean my cupboards.
Yeah. It sounds.
Now all I want to see is Jordan Peterson doing exorcisms with people.
And he's onto something. So I think a lot of people who are, I think he's onto something without realizing he's necessarily on now. He's on the same boat on that regard without being on the boat, if that makes sense. Like we both take that when I've heard that from him, you know, clean your horse, put things in order. He's 100% right. Not only is it good for you mentally, psychologically, the things that are there really respond to you more than anything else. It's you. You know, if you want to look at a biblical standpoint, you know, the man himself said, you know, a few of these things take prayer and fasting, but the vast majority, you know, you got nobody's casting them out and making things happen.
For the audience,
and that's what most people deal with.
David, for the audience sake here, because we've gone an hour in, they might think, what's this guy rambling about right now? You've actually had experience with this thing, whatever it is.
Well, I don't think it's a singular entity. Yeah, these things. Yeah.
But you don't think this is alien. You think this is something completely different.
Well, in regards to what's going on in the world right now, no, this isn't alien. No, I could see themselves trying to portray themselves as aliens or fairies or whatever, and maybe all that's true, and maybe it's all not true. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I have what I was told. I have no answers. I have way more questions than answers. People who are in a lot of trouble tend to find themselves into my life, and I am blessed enough to be able to offer them a little aid from time to time, and I'm happy to do it. That's just it.
Again, for the audience, you see these things for what they are.
I have. Yeah, I have. In fact, I was with. I told you the story of the thing that I was doing with the guy. For the audience, I'm not trying to be purposely confusing. I just want to keep certain aspects of my life private. And if I give details of this story, a smart man or even a mildly clever man could quite easily figure out who I am. And the only reason I don't want that is because there's nutty people. In fact, I have personally had an encounter, strangely enough, with someone that GUFON has had threats from.
Oh, really?
Oh, yes.
Somebody get rich in the house. He's probably
I know that guy. Yeah,
I'm gonna ring him.
Yeah, but anyway,
I'm gonna ring him.
But yeah, the man who sees himself in clouds. But anywho, so I was with men who were armed, who were all very well trained. We were working with dogs who were trained to eat the shit out of people, and so we were teaching them how to do certain things at a certain place. And I was at the back of the stack, and I'd felt something behind me, and I turn around and look, and this is broad daylight, and I watch someone walk across the hall, which this is bad. We're working dogs, we're working teams. This is, you do not get in front of these animals when they're doing their job. They will fuck you up. That is their only purpose. It is a fur missile with one thing on its mind, and that's bite somebody. And so I was like, oh, well, I'm with these guys, and they have all the proper credentials, and they look scary as shit. And so I was like, hey, guys, let's, we're going to do this end, just us. And they go, and we end up, now everything is supposed to be open to us, and this one room was interestingly locked. And I was like, all right, this is live. Let's go. We're going to take this bitch off its hinges, strap it up, light it. We go, and we send the dog in, and the dog, who's around gunfire and explosions all the fucking time, stops, sits, lays, starts whining, and the guy goes, yeah, he's done. He's not working anymore. And this thing is fucking ferocious. I think I sent you some video of that, Ollie.
Yes, you did. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's quite intense.
Yeah.
So for anybody in the audience that might think, what's he talking about here? I have actually seen. I feel quite privileged that I've been quite. I mean, you've sent me stuff over to the UK here to what you do. I've seen videos of what you do, and I understand why you remain anonymous. So when anybody in the audience that might think that David might be chatting shit, he's not chatting shit. I know him. I'm friends with him, and we've been speaking. I've actually asked for your help for things that have been happening. Well, advice, not help, for things that have happened in my life. Yeah. So, the reason, but you don't want anything from this. You just like the show and like to talk about the subject.
Yeah, I feel obligated. I feel obligated to help and to do this. It's even more difficult to explain, but so anyway, the dog bowed down, and it creeped all of these men out. So we rotated out dogs, right? Same thing happened with second one around. And these animals are wildly expensive and incredibly well trained. And they just turned into little bitches and stayed in the car for the next 3 days.
But
yeah,
I can remember my old dog in my mum's. I think I've sent you pictures of my mum's house.
Yeah. Well, we talked while you were there on video. Yeah.
Yeah. So the dog that we had, 2 dogs that we had, used to see things in that house, and they used to stop, and they used to look like and just stare at like a wall or something, and it was just weird to watch. And I can't think of any reason why a dog would do that, but that old house, and Lee, I know you've had experience with decorating. So my mum had 2 decorators in the old Victorian house. I haven't got a picture of it, otherwise I'd bring it up. But they both quit after one day. They were left there with the keys, and they left, and they said they wouldn't work there again because they saw something. They saw something go past the steamed windows that my mum's got in the living room, and everybody used to wake up apparently in the night and smell burnt toast. I say everybody, my mum and dad. I'm a lonely child. I never smelt it ever, and until me and my wife, we stayed there to look after the cat while my mum and dad were on holiday. This is before we had kids, so we just thought, we'll do that. We stayed there. Middle of the night, Serena, she wakes up and she says something's burning. So I'm thinking the house is on fire. So I go downstairs, and the whole house just smells of burnt toast. And I just thought, I know what this is. That's what I've been told as a kid, that my mum and dad used to tell me about, this smell of burnt toast. Oddest thing, and that it was freezing as well the whole way. But yeah, never saw anything. Just I just smelled the burnt toast once.
Well, my kids have seemed to inherit a bit of my strangeness, and it freaks my wife out from time to time. And the hilarious thing is, my wife is incredibly well educated, multiple degrees. She's important. A shitload of people in their families depend on her. In fact, she's at a very important function right now. I actually had to have someone come just to, anyway, watch the kiddos while they're downstairs. But she always jokes that I should have come with a warning label. She'd come in the other night, and my youngest son was apparently crawling around in his room and started pointing and laughing and jibber jabbering to something that wasn't there, and the light starts flickering. And he walks over, sits in front of it, and starts crawling around it, laughing, pointing, acting like he's playing with somebody.
Oh, jeez.
And she's like got the hair up on her arms. She's like afraid to go over. And I was like, so what did you do? She went over and I kicked the space. And she's like, put him to bed. And then like came in there and she was just like, she was, yeah, she's like, you know, she's like, I love you, but I really wish you would have told me some of this before we got together. And I was like, would you have believed it then? And she said, well, no. I was like, okay, let's just roll with it. You know? She's had massive supernatural happenings that actually saved her life, her boss's life, and the life of another gentleman once. She's, at this point, it's not a question that this is like, you know, it's, I don't know how far I can go with that and how far I can't.
There's two sides to this. Yeah. So there's two sides to whatever this thing is.
Oh yeah. Definitely. There's.
So you definitely think there's a light and a dark side.
Yeah. I would say. Well, I mean, I have much clearer terms than that, but yeah. I mean, if you're speaking in generality, sure. That's actually, I think, the old adage: "Many are called, few are chosen." And this isn't to, you know, issue some self-aggrandizing, you know, whatever. I'm not trying to inflate a sense of self. I truly am. I really hope I don't come across that way. If I am, I'll have to rethink my fucking self, I guess. But I think that like people like her and a few others I've encountered, many are called, few are chosen, whatever it is. Maybe it's a genetic mutation, maybe it's an anomaly, maybe whatever that allows you to tune into whatever else. I don't actually believe in psychics. I'm just putting that out there. I think most people say, well, I'm a psychic. Yeah, you're full of shit. You know, how many fingers do I have behind my back? What, you know, shit like that. But what's my name? But I think some people are too. I think there's no control to it. You're in control. I'm in control of nothing, at least. My kids are in control of nothing. It's just something you endure. And for whatever reason, things take interest. Maybe they realize we can interact with them, or we notice that they're there. I think people like Maria and a few other people are very much like that, but I think they chose a much different course. And I know that course exists because those offers, man, that sounds weird.
When do you get the offers? Yeah. When do you get the offers? This is what I always wonder this, you know, when you see a celebrity and you like Lee's got all them behind him with the.
I honestly think most of them are just done by the art directors and people who, and again, maybe the art director is not in charge. Maybe somebody gave them, I want this because I want this shot because this is what I'm going for. You know, who's that guy who's calling the shots? Who's the guy who specifically wants that imagery?
Yeah, but who's telling him to that? That's
the things that exist neither here nor there is something in between. You know, I think that's who's calling the shots on that.
So you don't think? Are you saying that most of the celebrities have nothing to do with it?
No, they're just fucking people. I mean, they're just people.
They have no idea what's going on.
But that's what I believe. I do not know. The ones I've met never gave me a feeling that they were like real occultists. I'm pretty quick to pick up on that. And they're pretty quick to pick up on me. But the ones that I've met, and again, it's a small, like I've met governors and some other fairly important people, and they're just fucking people, right? They're narcissists and they're, you know, mad with their own ego and self-importance and whatnot. But the people around them are the ones that'll give you the fucking creeps. Like if you've ever met someone and you just did not want to shake their hand You wanted nothing to do with that motherfucker. In fact, if he was on fire, you would just pour gasoline, and you do not know why. That's these people. And how they get to their levels of power when they're generally pretty incompetent.
I'm just wondering at what point somebody sees one of these people and goes, let's have a conversation. You need to know. And I don't even know what it is that they need to know, but you need to know about this because this is going to be your path. And
I don't think it's ever an upfront conversation, friend. I don't think that's what it is. I think it's a proposition made through sex and temptation. And you take it, you know what I mean? You take a deal without knowing you're taking a deal. You know you're making a sacrifice. You go to Epstein's fucking island.
Upfront set of rules. An upfront set of rules that never actually has to be laid out.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. They're not spoken, but if you go there and there's a girl who's clearly underage, you've been drinking, and everybody sit around watching you and watching her, do they really need to sit down and say, listen, if you want in this special club, you're going to fuck this girl on camera? No, they don't. You know what's up. You know that you're with a bunch of billionaires. You know what I mean? Like everybody's playing this game and you want that next thing. And like, yo, we'll talk about the contract after the party. You know? Now it's time to deal. Or are you one of us? Are you?
So they already approach basically people that are a little bit evil, a little bit fucked up, and
who isn't? You know, I mean, people are people, man. They're just people. I think they chase power. I think a shitload of celebrities, why they go batshit crazy, is I think they regret.
Well, yeah, but they must have something mentally fucking wrong with them, like the fucking.
Do they?
What's his name?
I think
to touch a kid, yeah.
No, but to do.
But does it start there?
Yeah,
does it start like do they jump in with an 8-year-old, or is it a 16-year-old? And it's a 14-year-old.
Let's just start with something.
So their mind becomes evil.
But let's just start with something light, yeah.
Yeah.
So let's just go murder, for instance. If someone turned around, if someone turned around to you and said, like, Ollie, like I can sort Alien Addict out, like this, you can be like UFOs, Joe Rogan, and we're gonna get all the big guests and stuff like that. Your family will be sorted, but you need to join this club, and this club involves a sacrifice. Now, I think it
like
would
a
be
chicken.
hard. But the thing is that
sacrificing
a person, your nan.
Well,
and
you know how poorly is she?
How much money are you talking?
Is it
going to be painless?
I think people, when given the opportunity to make a good life for themselves and, more importantly, their families, would do some terrible things if given the opportunity to become the Rock.
100%. So it's funny you say that. So the things I've done in my life have nothing to do with my education. My education was my formal education was in economics, and I actually had a opportunity with a once in a lifetime opportunity with an incredibly powerful company that people would they would absolutely kill their parents to get a shot at. And I had a shot. I had an interview. We went through the whole thing, and they offered me a job. And I had to sit down. I had to think about the offer. I was fortunate enough to talk to some people, and it was absurd amounts of money. And I said no, because there's a lot of reasons I said no, but I said no. Not that I'm better or grander, but I just chose in my life that you can always, I believe you can always make money. Money is not all important. It's always fucking there. There's always opportunities. People get caught up on the get rich quick, and they're willing to do anything for it, and they don't realize what they're going to pay. And I did a little self-reflection and some prayer, and realized that I didn't want to pay what was being asked of me. So I think with these people, they're willing to do that. They're willing to do that. And if you're the right person and maybe you're wired the right way, whatever that means, maybe you can really get a lot out of it. I believe that people like, again, going back to Maria, because she's easy to Google and search, or Aleister Crowley, I believe that they were people who were a little bit more in touch with other things and were a little bit better at figuring things out. And I would be willing to bet dollars to pesos that they could get things, nebulous things, to do things for them. I'm 100% sure of that. I'm 100% sure of that for several reasons. These things that tend to take interest in, and again, it's not like you get people like, well, I've tried to make a deal with the devil, or I'm a paranormal researcher or whatever, and I haven't got anything, so it can't be. People never stop to think maybe those things don't give a fuck about them. Maybe they are not interested in that. Maybe they are just a fucking NPC who is not important, and they're much more interested in someone else. And that, I think, tends to drive a lot of paranormal researchers that I've met fucking crazy. You know what I mean? Because I've spent a lot of time talking to those people, and they're like, well, this is the best evidence. We got some knocking. And then there will be other people who are maybe a little bit more in tune, and they have things happening all the time. And the other people are like, well, they're clearly faking it, or they're full of shit. And it's not the case.
Rich.
Hey, what's up, man?
Oh, mate, you sound terrible.
Do I?
You do sound like you got a little bit of cold.
I think
I'll
you
tell
sound
you later.
relaxed.
Yeah. What's going
Rich,
on?
Rich, this is David. David Rich.
Hello, Rich.
What's up?
GUFON.
Hello, L. Dave.
Thank you.
He's actually, Dave's just been talking about somebody who he's had a run-in, that has had a run-in with you. Who was it now?
Kenneth.
Dave. Kenneth.
I've met Kenneth. Yeah. Mr.
Pass.
Panana Hawana himself. Yeah. Lives in Cookville, Tennessee.
Psychopaths. Yeah.
Yeah, he needs to stay on the meds. He needs to stay on the meds. He's a little bit more entertaining when he's not, but
you met
generally
him
harmless.
You met him in person?
Oh yes. Yeah.
No, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Nah, he's nuts. Yeah, he's that into you, huh?
Well, he only said he was gonna cut me up into little pieces.
Oh, that guy. Oh, jeez.
Oh, but for him, that's just pillow talk. It's
Yeah.
getting it primed.
Yeah.
Getting it. It's a kinky evening. Has he sent you any presents yet?
No.
Does he not have a? Oh, that's good.
Why?
Yeah.
Nobody has my address.
What we've been talking about, Rich, is
What's up, Lee?
I'm good, mate. You?
Oh, I'm all right.
he sounds terrible. Rich,
No, I don't.
You should. It sounds like you got a cold. A little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit
I
nasally.
don't have a cold. It's probably allergies.
Oh, well,
Very, very allergic out here.
what we've been talking about is the strangeness in the world. I'm not talking about right now. I'm talking about the strangeness that's been kind of forever, and the people that are. Well, I say forever. As long as I've been alive, as long as I know, as long as any of us have been alive that's alive right now, the people up high that are kind of whispering people's ears and controlling the way things happen, without speaking about anything that might get me banned from YouTube.
This is gone, mate. You're fucked. You're already
Wait,
fucked.
repeat that again?
The Illuminati.
Ah, the Illuminati. Yeah. And what are
Do you think it's a thing, Rich? Do you think it's a thing?
Yeah.
You do?
Yeah, I do. There is a secret. There's a group of people that are actually planning out everything that happens, especially what we've been through the last couple of years. So, you even if you go back 20 years ago, what happened in New York and Washington and whatnot, starts with a 9, ends with a you know, big ones. Yeah. You know, then, I mean, there's so many things throughout history. It's just unbelievable. So I do believe in it.
And do you think it's active within the UFO community?
I don't think so. I don't know. I don't know. Really. I never even put any thought to it.
Because I've been wondering this, because there's a narrative that they push and they do certain things, and like, for example, I think it was last year, the word UFO was pulled out from YouTube completely, and then they just showed you what they wanted you to see, which was the CNN footage of
CGI footage.
CNN,
and
the go fast and the gimbal and that's all we seem to see, and then it was pushed and pushed and pushed, and it just reminds me of like anything in life that we may see on news media that just keeps getting spun and spun and spun. I mean, I don't watch TV anymore. I've actually turned it off. My TV is just literally there, and I play some Nintendo with my little boys, which is probably not even that's probably got something in it. But I just think that there is something, and I can't put my hand on it. I don't know don't know if it's Illuminati or what it is, but I think there is controls in this world that are controlling us, and I think it's way bigger than any of us know. And when we talk about aliens, I don't think that's what we need to be worried about or even need to be thinking about, even though we have UFO alien channels. I think it's something completely different, and half of the stuff that we may see in that is little sparkles of news about alien life or a crashed spaceship that comes up on YouTube and we all get excited. It seems like things push us in different directions, and we should really be thinking right now about how we just calm this shit down.
Calm what shit down?
Ourselves as human beings, and start become a little bit more human.
There's too many of us, first of all. So I personally think that, I can't say it on the channel, but...
you think the levels are too high?
They are. They're getting... They're beyond high. I mean, you look back at the Georgia Guidestones, where it says Earth and humanity and perpetuity or something like that, would mean only 500 million people would have to be on the planet. We're at almost, 8 billion?
Billion, yeah.
7.2 or something? I don't know. But we'll be at 9 billion by 2050. And we're already at the tipping point, they say. Oceanographers and geologists and everybody's agreeing that water is going to be the number one item on the planet very soon, within 25 years. And the oceans are already at the tipping point where they can barely sustain what we have on the planet. And they stopped having all-you-could-eat crab legs and all-you-could-eat crabs at a bunch of restaurants because we've depleted the oceans. Hey,
do you not think that's all lies?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think so.
I know the
we
water
throw
stuff.
away as much as we eat, huh?
As I said, the water stuff is on point. I have a unique perspective on that, and that is the talk of the utilities world, at least in the U.S. It's a big
Fresh
problem.
water.
Only that to be fresh water, fresh, clean drinking water is a tremendous issue. Certain parts of the country, not a big deal, but a bunch of very heavily populated places, it's a very big deal. And they don't know what to do, and they don't know how to deal with it, and they're just kind of not talking about it. But if you go to any of the big wastewater conferences, It's on all the dockets. It's on all the dockets. We got all the best minds thinking about it, especially like New York, Baltimore, all those areas. The headwaters that they pull from have been ridiculously polluted. I think it's some of the places they were storing nuclear waste above them, and they're like, "Oh, ground seepage won't happen." No, it happened. And they're like, "Well, how do we get that out?" And everyone's like, "Oh, and I don't know. I have no idea." Yeah.
Yeah, as somebody in the chat room, 007 says, they lie about everything. What do you believe?
Oh, 00. It's a good man.
Yeah, what do you believe?
Yeah.
He's a globe denier. Not a flat earth, he's a globe denier. But he's a good man.
Who, 00?
Yeah. I interviewed him way back. I think you interviewed him as well, didn't you?
I had him on the Mussiodio as well, yeah.
Yeah, I've
nice
seen
guy.
him around. Nice guy, yeah. Well, I don't think the world is flat, but other than everything else,
neither does he.
Know? How do I know? I mean,
he just thinks it's bigger than it is, than they're telling us. How would you? Yeah, but I mean, this is another one of the weird things. We've had everything from Mandela effect, flat Earth,
bake.
What's the other one? Fake.
Mandela effect's just bad memories. I mean, we can't.
No, it's not. We came to the conclusion on this, Rich. I think the Mandela effect came. When did you Googled this? You Googled when Mandela died, and it was when CERN. It was 2 years after CERN.
2 years, not on the same day, but 2 years later. All right, we could, come on, man.
It takes 2 years to realize that we've. C3PO had a silver leg.
So I can't get over that. Like I can't reconcile the silver leg on C3PO.
Because they rarely showed him from the knee down. They rarely did. If you watch the movies, it's always from the waist up, almost every time.
David, what's your thought on the Mandela effect? Is it just memory?
It is. Oh my God! If he says it isn't,
I think it's bad memory.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like the thing is, so again,
wait a minute. There we go.
So the weird thing is, like, I live near, again, government labs, government research labs. Right? I have lots of friends there. I never really took you for a top, but okay.
He has a bottom, but that's true.
Yeah, a little bit.
Just silly on top.
He couldn't handle riding this.
Yeah, so I've been at drinking sessions where this has come up, and nobody believes that it would work that way. Like the merging of universes, like splitting off, sure. Like maybe we're a fractal of a line, absolutely. But to just rewrite everything, they're like, that doesn't even work cognitively.
It's rewriting.
Off, sure, but yeah.
How come we don't wake up tomorrow, Dave, and my car isn't a Porsche? You know, how come that hasn't changed? It's always the little stuff, the little things that you don't really notice. Oh, it's not an O, it's an extra O in fruit.
Yeah,
I'm
right.
Like, okay.
Can you imagine?
For the record, I'm not a fan of Porsches, but.
It's just a bad example.
You go outside and your Ford Fiesta is a Ferrari,
right?
But it's still a Ford. It is a Ford Fiesta. It's just got a Ferrari badge, and you see a Ferrari and it's got Ford on it. You're like,
right? That's the Mandela effect. Now that's a real. How come no buildings have changed?
Exactly.
You don't see different architecture. It had an arch on it yesterday. Now it's flat. Mandela. So stupid.
Yeah.
Only entertainment properties and cereal boxes.
Yeah. There's something odd with it though. CERN.
CERN? Yeah, CERN.
Yes.
CERN. Yeah, they're weird as shit.
I am. This is going to be a title. Don't make it rich. This is going to be a title of the video. I'm concerned about CERN.
Oh, that's awful. I'm going to use it. I love it, actually.
I think you'll find there's already a Musty Audio podcast called A Very Concerning Episode about the Mandela effect.
Yeah, you already did one?
Yeah. Oh. Yeah, I think it was one of the first Musty Audio ones.
Well, I mean, particle accelerators in general are very unnerving. One of my former business partners used to build what was called a tabletop particle accelerator, which isn't actually a tabletop. They're actually fairly large. But that was his primary business, and we made some things on the side together. But they were all the guys who were involved with it. They're building them, and they're like, this is a terrible idea. And I was like, what? And he's like, particle accelerators. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, this is dumb. This is dumb as shit. It's like, well, don't they use it to research? He's like, sure, but this is like back when they fired off a nuclear weapon. It's like, well, it couldn't ignite the atmosphere, or it could just go off. Well, fuck, let's set it off and see what happens. We should build a huge particle accelerator and fire these things at the fastest rates we can ever get. Why? I don't know. Let's see what happens. What? That's a terrible fucking idea, man. But I mean, granted, he still made them, at our machine shop, or made a lot of the struts and stuff at the machine shop. All the higher stuff happened out at labs because the materials you use for that shit's controlled. But yeah, it's a terrible idea. I don't know anyone who works on them other than the people they put in front of the media. You got to wonder where they actually got their fucking science degree. Like, I'm an engineer. From where? McDonald's? Like, what the fuck, man?
Same place Bob Lazar went.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Anyway, they're bad ideas. I think it's a bad idea. But I'm a fearmonger, though, so.
Well, I do think it's a bad idea. I honestly do. I think the saying, well, you know what? We're scientists. We're this is where the magic happens. But have you seen the size of that fucking thing?
It's the biggest man-made thing ever.
It's the most expensive scientific experiment ever. And what we're looking for, the God dark matter, the God particle.
Yeah.
So that rings alarm bells.
And the best way to do it all is to start the proceedings with an occult ritual.
Yeah.
Yeah, with Sheba.
Yeah.
It's a mini Big Bang.
Yep. And the interesting thing is they talk about that being the biggest. It's the biggest internationally funded one. But I do guarantee you that the United States government and the national lab system that we have in multiple states, they have much bigger, much more powerful, much more exotic things to test particles. And they have had it for a long time. 100% verifiable fact. I know people who worked there. Yeah, it's the biggest internationally funded one that all the scientists go to. That's not where the cool shit happens. DARPA. Yeah, I mean, DARPA facilities are everywhere. Drive out in the middle of fucking Oklahoma. There's one planted on the Raytheon. Like, why do you have a massive Raytheon-owned property out here? And you have DARPA Robotics and all the other weird shit they work on. Dude, they just don't talk about it. So long as it's in the military or the industrial complex, and the military itself and the U.S. government's not so much what funds it, is the contractors on the outside. Because the contractors on the outside, you don't have to acknowledge that they ever existed, work there. You can't freedom of information request what project they worked on because you don't know their name. And without specific information, specific project headers, you're not going to get shit. That's another reason compartmentalization is so powerful. Yeah. It's scary times, man.
It's terrifying to think, isn't it, that you could just be sat here doing this right now, and everything could end because of an experiment that was going on somewhere that you have absolutely no control over.
I definitely live close enough. I'm going first, and that there's some comfort in that. And I don't want to be on the outside zone where you just barely survive. That would be terrible. Let's go with the big flash and move fast, right?
Dave, do you believe in the Big Bang Theory?
No.
How come?
Not as it's presented.
Then where did we come from? How did this all just happen?
Man, I barely read at a fourth grade education level, but
me too.
Yeah, so I am not one to expound on the creation of the universe.
Do you have an idea? Maybe? What's your thought?
I think that okay, no problem. I think complexity is proof of design. Clock did not evolve. A laptop did not evolve. Your cell phone did not evolve. It did not through trial and error. It was the more complex the system is, and the most complex piece of machinery that I know exists is the ecosystem on our planet. It's one in a fucking gajillion, right? And so, like, if we're talking a natural evolution, we should see signs of this everywhere. Let alone a person. How did a person come to be? What came first, your mouth or your stomach? And why? What was the purpose of it? Like, how did you move? Like, none of those things make sense. Where you look at, like, I look at a person, and this comes back to some of the things I do on the side. I often refer to the body as a meat suit, right? You are your consciousness. Your body's just a fucking meat suit. It is a machine. It is maybe the most impressive single machine I've ever seen. It is infinitely adaptive. It can recover, it can build, it can self-heal. Depending on what you feed it and what you do to it, you can slow down your aging, you can stay fit, you can stay vital, you can keep moving forward. It's just all on how you treat it, what you fuel it with. Kind of like a precision automobile, right? Putting regular gas in it, it's not going to go very far, but if you keep putting that high-end shit in, it's going to purr like a kitten. Same thing. Like so when I see that, when I see human body or the birth of my child, the perfection that is the replication of humans, it is phenomenal. It is perfect, and it's there. I mean, granted, we get some anomalies like, Kenneth. Some shit clearly went wrong somewhere. I mean, things happen, right? We're not always batting 100. I'll go with environment or slippery fingers of the doctor, but they pull too hard on the head or something. But that is how I see it.
But see, I think the creation of everything, I don't think it was a big bang. I think we got sucked through a black hole, and I think that's what black holes do. They suck everything up and spit everything out and recreate everything all over again. They're the vacuum cleaners of space.
Maybe. I think a portion of the people on this planet did not originate on this planet. Or at least in this reality or dimension. I 100% believe that.
But where's that proof? You need proof.
Well, so the reason I come to that theory is, this is going to sound weird, but it's out there. I mean, I'm not pulling anything new, and I've talked to my other friends, right, who think along the lines I do. That you don't just spat this shit off weird people at the bus stop. You know what I mean? You'll get tased and arrested. But so if you look at like RH negative. Oh, thank you, Jennifer. Siamese, Jennifer. I don't know. Yeah, there you go,
guys. If I don't think that I'm just a super chat harder thing, but I'm dyslexic, so I struggle to read the rest of the comments. I have been reading and smiling sometimes at them, but Jennifer, thank you very much, my friend. Wow. Carry on, David. Sorry.
I don't know. What was I saying? I don't know. I was jabbering on. So RH negative blood types, if you look at the uniqueness, and again, it comes down to, part of this theory came to me when so I am RH negative, my wife is RH positive. She was easily able to have my baby. My sister is RH negative. She had difficulty having all of her children because she mated with an RH positive. Now, if I was going to put an invasive species, what I would do is control the reproduction of their women and make it so that the men could easily inseminate other people. And when you look at, and this is a known thing, you can look at powerful people, CEOs, especially, this is an excellent one, CEOs of companies. A lot of them, you can find out the blood types, or even very influential celebrities or politicians, you find out these are RH negative people. You find out that something that is 15% of the fucking global population somehow has 90% of CEO and leadership positions of power and politics that run countries that are royal families. Like, that makes zero sense.
David, my mum's are negative. Reese is negative.
Yeah, RH negative.
That's weird.
All my kids are as well. So it makes sense that I could go to my wife, knock her up with my kids, and spread that bloodline, but it would stop. And I'm thinking just from a primal basis, I'm equating people to animals. It would make sense if you want to stop these women who were this from breeding with the outsides, because their body would trigger an immune response and kill the fetus. Nothing else in nature does that. There's not two different kinds of wolves.
She had 8 miscarriages.
Yeah. The Rodan shot makes it happen, but before then, it just wasn't. And so you look at just that factor. So again, I have friends that are in the cloning industry. So cloning cells and organs and stuff, it's great. Research RH negative people, they're not cloning organs or blood types or any of that. O negative can take any blood type in the world, but it can only have its own. Why is that?
That can't be accurate.
100% accurate.
There's got to be people who are O negative making it and having kids with your blood type somewhere.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, me and my wife are. My sister has kids with O positive people, but she had to have a Rodan shot for an immunosuppressant.
You have to.
Otherwise, her body, and she had miscarriages. Her body turned on the fetus. That's what happens.
Yes.
When you look at it just from that, it's almost a difference of species. One seems almost invasive to the other.
David, I can back that up because my mum said that I was the miracle child, because back then they didn't really, I don't think they knew much about it. And my mum had 8 miscarriages. Yeah, but
so both of my parents,
I appeared.
Yeah, both of my parents were negatives. So like the doctor, that's why they used to do blood tests back in that. So that's where blood tests, when people got married who wanted to have kids, that's where that came from. If the woman was RH negative. What happened
when they didn't have blood tests? They just had the babies just didn't.
They just had miscarriages. You might get one.
I don't believe that. I think that's inaccurate to a point. I'm gonna look this up.
Go for it. It is 100% biologically correct.
It is, Rich.
100%.
My mum, exactly the same.
I know for a fact. But if the woman was positive, it didn't matter. Like, oh, she's fine. It doesn't matter what the man is. If the woman was negative, the man needed to be negative, or, you're going to be able to have one child, or you may have difficulty having the one child, but after the one child, it's going to be incredibly difficult to have more children. And to me, that is a bizarre thing, because when you talk to biologists or people who study, hematology, things like that, they don't really talk about it, because blood is a difficult thing to mutate. There's not a lot of mutations in the blood. It is not a thing. Yeah.
It's got like my facts on. Different oils in different cars, I guess. It's a car.
That's an excellent analogy. Excellent
but
analogy.
You can't put, you have to use specific. Yeah. That's interesting. All right. I'll see. But that's it's totally wild if that's true.
Oh, it's rhesus negative, true. Though. Right. David, so you've been because I was quite intrigued that when I found out my mum was rhesus negative, like I think when I kind of got into the alien stuff, and I'm like, and I saw a few documentaries about people that are rhesus negative. Said they come from space.
Crazy people.
Yeah. And I said, Mum, what blood type are you? My mum's the same blood type. But she had 8 miscarriages, so eight children. They died. Some of them went a little bit further.
Yeah,
and it's an odd thing. It is so odd that I know what you're saying. You said these certain human beings. It's like they're not meant to breed with.
Well, it's like
you're not from here.
It's like a weird alien invasion, because the men can easily be like, my wife's O positive. I can easily, like, we have 4 kids, no problem. My sister's O negative. It is a challenge for her to have kids with her husband. I mean, they have a beautiful family thanks to the Rodan shot and other drugs and rest and bed. Another one of my friends, his wife was O negative. They're lucky to have the one kid they have, and the doctors even told them that. And they're like, well, we could do the Rodan shot again. It wasn't. They had a lot of issues. It was. I don't actually see them going down that road again. They almost lost her. They almost lost the baby. It just wasn't. Her body was rejecting it. And to me, that is fucking bizarre. And it's a question no one wants to talk about. And the people who do want to talk about, well, they're lizard people. They're, they're star children. Like, oh, Jesus, man, stop with the nutty stuff. Let's figure this out. Let's talk about it. No one wants to talk about it. Other than it's a biological fact that, blood types, transfusions, how these things work. Okay, the birth rate, we know this. And then all of a sudden, all the research disappears on it. The journals dry up. And that to me is curious in and of itself, because, they spend, $50 million studying the masturbation habits of starfish. I'm making that up. Maybe it's true. I don't know. Kind of seems like something the government would spend money on.
I believe you.
Yeah, maybe pufferfish, but why not study this blood?
What's that? That's why we can't get other people's blood when we have to get a transfusion. Kind of like that, right? Is that what?
Yeah. So okay. I was on a training because I'm an O negative blood type, and I was doing a thing that was fairly dangerous. And the guy's like, well, just make sure nothing bad happens, because where we are right now, you're fucked. Like, you lose too much blood, you're fucked. So good luck. You know, here's a pat on the back, son. Have fun. And I was like, oh shit. So I'll be extra careful then. Yeah. But yeah.
Is this one of the recent videos that the exercise you sent me?
No, this was a different one. We were more isolated than that. We can't go there anymore because of the laws with the things about which we must not touch. I was not allowed to enter that state because I refused to do things we must not talk about.
Okay, I understand.
Yeah. Until they all fuck themselves. And so we held it in a different state.
How many different blood types are there?
There are 4 variations. There's there's OA, B, AB, and then you have a negative variant of each one of those.
Okay, so there's 8, pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much. And all of the positives can have negative blood. None of the negatives can have positive blood. So AB is a universal recipient, especially AB positive. They can have anyone. They totally consume everything. It's believed to be the latest mutation in blood. O is believed to be the original mutation in blood. And so that's why everyone can have it. If you're O negative, you are a universal donor, which is great, because if you're in a tragic accident, you go to the hospital, say you're shot, whatever, you're bleeding, the first thing they give you is a fucking pint of O negative blood because everybody can have it. And then when they figure out and they type you and figure out what you are, they start getting the blood that matches you into you, because O negative is a precious commodity. The bitch of the thing is, if you're O negative and you go in, you get 1, maybe 2 pints of that shit, and then you're just on your own with the saline drip. Good luck. Because that blood can save so many other people. They're just not going to waste it on giving you 2 or 3, you know?
But I didn't have a blood test before I got married. My wife
did you try and have kids?
To.
When did you get married?
They didn't ask us that.
Yeah, what year?
It was 2006.
Yeah, Rodan shot exists. They stopped doing that. That's a 1970s thing. That would be why Ollie's parents would do it, or my parents would do it. The Rodan shot, I think, came out in the 80s. You'd have to Google it, maybe the 80s.
2004. Yeah. No, wait. When was I married? 2002. That's why I'm divorced. Hey. Yeah, it was 2002.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So these blood types, do you think it's? Do you actually think we're from space? We are originally from space, then, David.
I don't know. I can't speak positively on anything. I mean,
but you think it's been tampered with?
I don't think it's been tampered with. I think I truly believe it's a separate, like. So, like, are you familiar with like Göbekli Tepe and some of the monuments around there?
Mm-hmm. Only from what I've watched on Ancient Aliens.
Graham Hancock has some books that are worth reading. I mean, he goes over some historical sites, and I don't know. I think maybe it wasn't always so hard to go from one plane of a place to another plane of a place. Maybe a group of people had to get out of a plane of a place, and they came over. And maybe not. Maybe these are leftover Neanderthals. Maybe this, maybe that. I know everyone's like genetic testing this, genetic testing that. Most of genetic testing, when you look at the actual proofs that they need and variation, like if you have, like I took all those tests because I'm a bastard mutt from nowhere, and I kind of curious where I was. My tests constantly change where I'm from. And when you look at like the data behind it, okay, what proofs are you using to do this? Like what is your range? What is your certainty that we are going to look at this data with? What metric? How are we applying these metrics to your null hypothesis to get that I'm Irish or whatever? And you're like, well, we're looking for at least a 15% certainty. Well, that's a fucking joke, man. That's not statistically significant. You have no idea. When you start looking at it, the only thing they can tell you is, oh, you're a Caucasian from potentially.
Dave, you're cutting out. You're gone.
That just happened to everyone else.
We didn't hear what you said because you cut out for about 10 seconds.
David, if you can hear me, just like leave and then pop back in. Same link that I sent you before. It should work. Yes, it's odd. The blood types, and you always hear about the Illuminati talking about the blood types. There we go. He's back in. I'll remove that one.
Wow, that was weird.
There you go.
Sorry about that. But yeah. So I don't know. I think it's a mystery. I have no answers.
It's been working perfectly out.
If I had answers, I'd write a book and be a billionaire. What's that, sir?
No, I'm just saying the audio was perfect for an hour, and then it went. It's a bit like our first interview that we had, David, where we started talking about the Exorcist, and then it just went weird. It was odd.
Yeah, it's never a healthy topic.
So Rich, I did, now that David's on, I do actually, I've always wanted to bring something up here between you two, because have you seen my original interview with David?
I might have. I can't recall anything right now. How old is it?
So it's about a year and a bit, maybe 2 years. I don't know. But you said something about Rich in off air of that interview, David, because you was subscribed to both our channels, watching our channels, and you said that Rich is crazy for fucking about with the Ouija board.
Yep. Yeah.
Why is that?
It's a permanent invitation. Even if you're like, well, we'll close it out. It's a permanent invitation. It's just waiting for something to talk. And it's not like the Ouija board itself is a doorway. It's more like constantly sending up a flare, hoping that someone comes over. You know? And it's like being in a rave and swinging around a glow stick. Someone will take notice sooner or later and come, pop some ecstasy and grind with you. Maybe.
What do you mean, just having one?
No, fiddling around with it. It has to be an active invitation. Right. It's an invocation. Yeah. It's an invitation. It's invitation. Just owning it. It's just a fucking thing. Honestly, you could do that with anything. You don't need one to do it. People invite shit into their lives all the time. Most of it, I've seen some beautiful ones that are really just artwork. It's just a piece of wood. It means nothing. It means as much as you give it leverage to. But, typically when you own one and you play around with it.
So I can use a pillow. I can use a pillow as a Ouija board and it would still work because it's what I'm saying. It's my actions.
Correct. Yeah. It's an invitation. You're invoking. It's not an item. There's no item to channel anything. I don't believe that. They're just fucking things. You're the best conduit in the world. You want to talk to something, then talk to it. Something either will listen to you because it wants to, or it won't because it doesn't give a fuck and it doesn't want to talk to you. It goes back to earlier. Yeah.
Just like real life.
Yeah.
So the reason Ouija boards work for people, then, would you put that down to the fact that because it's been sort of hammered into people for a long time that Ouija boards work?
There's belief in it.
Confidence in it. There's the belief there.
Yes, so it's the same reason, if you get into the Catholic rite of exorcism or the Orthodox rite or anything like that, they have all this massive ritual when, in my opinion, they don't really need any of that. But they have ritual to replace faith. Ritual gives them a set of guidelines that they put faith into. Does that make sense? It's a process, kind of like a flow chart. So when you use a Ouija board, it's an easier flow chart to understand. Is that,
Mm-hmm.
It's just my belief. I maybe I'm 1,000% wrong. Who knows?
I get what you're saying there, because the Ouija board's not actually that old, is it? Was it a game or something?
Well, they made it by
Hasbro, isn't it?
Yep. Sold to kids' toy stores. Which again, if you look at the things behind you and the Epstein and how much shit's focused at children through Disney and whatnot, kind of makes sense that they would sell those things to kids.
Yeah. God, I was shocked with
yeah.
that when I was in Florida and I saw the Hasbro in the toy section because I had my son in the toy shop, and there was Ouija boards in the Hasbro toy section, like board games.
Yeah,
I found that
but
really weird.
I'm also a big believer in free will. Do what you whatever you want to do. It's your life. This is your ride. It's fucking have fun. I think it's a bad idea. I don't know that good things come from it. Inviting things like that into your life. I wouldn't invite anything into my life if I had a choice about it.
Sorry, I thought you stopped.
I did.
So praying. So when you pray to God, you're inviting something to come over, right?
100%. You're just a little bit more clear about what you're looking for. I believe intention and will have a big play. I think we're not a meat suit, man. We operate in a meat suit. We're plugged into this amazing robot to have these fucking incredible experiences and ride on this rocket ship of life, which I think is awesome. And people get consumed with petty shit and forget just how amazing it is if you think about it, But yeah, I don't think that we're the body at all. I think if anything, the body limits what a senses we should have, or maybe it limits what we are, Well, maybe it's like a governor in a fast car. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, that would be interesting. Yeah. What if you were just a head? I mean, would you have more abilities to make things happen with your mind? It reminds me of the law of attraction, basically, and I believe in the law of attraction.
Yeah, I do too, to a very, very real extent. I
hugely believe it. We're doing it right now, whether you want to or not, because thoughts create things. I do believe it. I've had it proven to me so many times. I've denied it so many times, just saying it's a coincidence. But when you do it with purpose, and then it happens, which I've done many times, you got to say, well, I'm going to keep doing this, but we don't keep doing it. It's like we don't want to give the day 2 minutes just to create what we want by just thinking about it. It's not just thinking about it. It's thinking about it, creating it in your mind as if it really happened, to open up the doors of the universe for that to really happen, because the universe can't tell the difference between reality and thought. And that's been proven in a lab, brainwaves and stuff. So
yeah, no, 100%. They did it with with photons.
They did it with, oh yeah,
or they got every possible outcome at the instantaneous when no one was watching, but you would get the outcome that you wanted to happen. Yeah, it shows that our consciousness affects the reality of the universe around us.
It's so weird.
Again, that's where I come into that. So it goes back to you can use a pillow.
Yeah.
If that's what you wanted. I think fucking around with that stuff is bad juju. But people do what they do.
Yeah, well, when you don't believe in something and you want proof, you're going to do it 127 times like I did. And the proof came, and I don't know if I got proof, because nothing really showed up on the recordings, the videos. I was expecting to see a mist, or ectoplasm, or something in there. I did hear a growling pig, like a snort, and it sounded like my dishes were rattling. But other than that, I didn't hear any satanic or any voices. Nothing happened except what happened to me,
See, in my experience, I've never heard like the so much of that I think is in my experiences. So I'm an N of 1 here, right? I got sample size of me. My sample size is the shit you see in Hollywood is not the shit that is in real life. It's not. They're not speaking Latin and the head's not spinning around backwards. And most of the time you'll if you do have a conversation with someone, it'll end up more like a lucid dream, or what you believe is a lucid dream. And if you actually encounter someone who is possessed, like so much so that these things are really riding shotgun on them, they'll know your name and they'll be threatening, but physical action isn't something that they do. Not really. I mean, in frightening, like, so I have an experience with a young woman who chucked around large men.
Sounds like my
and
wife.
Yeah, but when you think about it, to throw for a young girl to be able to throw a 300+ pound man, like she did the pastor at that time, she could have just fucking snapped his neck. He couldn't have stopped that. So why the theatrics?
Yeah.
It's always theatrics. Why are you trying to scare us more? It's a weird set of rules that make very little sense. And again, I don't know that I could make sense. Like I said earlier, if I knew the right question to ask, I would have an aneurysm and my brain would run out of my nose. I don't think I could fucking process the answer as I am now. I don't think it's possible. I think we're cogs in something else, and I just kind of roll through my life. Mostly I just wake up and I'm impressed with the day every day and just try and take it at that. Try not to let too much shit of my own ego get in the way or other people's, if I can help it, which is a hilarious thing when you think about what I do for money. But yeah.
Have you ever messed with it, Lee?
What?
Ouija board?
No.
Would you?
I don't know. Probably shouldn't. I'd probably do it on a podcast. But yeah, I don't see. I believe in demons, and if I believe they're out there, then I probably don't want to leave the window open.
Maybe that's why I didn't have anything happen, because I really didn't believe in it. But there I am trying to make contact with something I didn't believe in. Could that have been why nothing? Well, I guess something did happen. Everybody says something happened, and it's possible.
What happened to your throat, Rich? Your throat.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
You choked on a demon penis.
Yeah, that's what I did.
Yeah.
Bastards.
No, what I think happens. So I've met several people who do that. And they're like, man, I've played around with it for years and nothing happened. And you look at this guy's health is shit. His life is shit. His marriage fell apart. He's living under what most people say, man, that guy's just got a cloud about him that's not right. It's you invited something in, like not you in particular, but this gentleman, these people invite things into their lives that maybe they don't fully grasp and understand. And like you've always heard, I'm sure you've heard the trickster aspect of the paranormal, right? It never gives you what you want. It's never going to happen. They'll never get it. It just doesn't happen. It doesn't. If it did, it would give it to somebody else that you hated just to fuck with you because it would think it's hilarious. It's petty like that, man. Like overall evil of the, I've heard them utter weird shit to try and scare people, but it's a parlor trick. It scratched me. Yeah. But what did it do? Are you alive? Get past it. I heard growling down the hallway and saw a shadow and everyone's pissing their pants outside. You heard growling and saw a shadow. Turn on the fucking light. You know what I mean? What's it going to do? What's it going to do? Unless you invoke it with will to yourself, that's a different ball game, and it will siphon you like a battery.
So, David, I've just noticed this because it's come up in block capital letters, but somebody's just said, can you ask the guest how and under what circumstances he came to meet Kenneth Pass in person? And
I met him at a store. I met him at a Radio Shack in Cookeville, Tennessee, when there was a Radio Shack in Cookeville, Tennessee. It's a fluke encounter. And then later on, for a while, I had a group I felt compelled to kind of put out there people maybe, because there are people who suffer or who have paranormal encounters and can't talk to anyone. They don't want to talk to anyone because every time they look online, they find nothing but fucking crazy people talking about all the shit that people talk about. Just everything that Kenneth talks about. flying car. I mean, not even that. Greater nonsense than that. The indigo star children are going to reopen the portal to God with the imagination of projection through seminal fluid, all drank through a cup. We're going to get together naked and beat bongos. And the guy's a doctor who had a weird paranormal experience, and he's like, I'm not doing that. That's none of these things are going to happen. That's not sanitary, for one. But so I threw a thing out on Meetup if people needed paranormal help, and then like a support group type deal, and a shitload of people.
Oh, we spoke about this on the first interview, I think. Yes.
Yeah.
So that's where you met him.
Yeah. Well, no. He didn't come, but he did send a message that he demanded. So the crazy thing is, he didn't know that I'd met him before. And he had sent a message. I don't live anywhere near there now. I think he just trolls around meetups and groups looking for people. So this is just a very weird, very fucking weird coincidence that, he demanded someone drive hours and hours and hours to come get him so he could teach us the truth that he's to be worshipped. And for a while I trolled with him, and then I was like, I met you once before. And he's like, oh, brother, this is the universe putting you back in touch with your father. And I was like, I think you're full of shit. And then he went off on a tirade about how he was going to burn me alive. And I fucking blocked him. Yeah. Good old Kenneth. That's the Kenneth. Yeah.
He's a nice guy. He means well.
He's just unbalanced. I don't know if it's
a little bit
wiring. His head is off. I mean, you could say me. Oh, I am unbalanced in little ways, I guess. I think everybody a little bit is. He's just a little more than other people, but he's also living in government. So after that, I used some of my other talents to figure out exactly who this motherfucker was, and I figured out where he lived, his name, places he's lived, and realized he's for a time he was a ward of the state. There are no more mental institutions, but he's been, sectioned out by the cops a couple times when he loses his shit. Right now, he's living in government housing in Cookeville, Tennessee. He's, just a fucking crazy guy. Just one more crazy guy who's just kind of sad and lonely and aggressive. But
hopefully he gets better soon.
He'll never be better.
I don't think he will. No. I think Kenneth's ad will be Kenneth's end will be tragic and sad, and it'll just be another, lost soul out there.
Yeah.
But
go ahead.
We're gonna know what you say, Rich.
Nothing.
Well, I was just gonna say on that note, I've been going for 2 hours, and I said it would just be a 2-hour show tonight. So I don't like to cut the show at this point, but I've kind of got to, because I've got a schedule tomorrow, and I'm up at 6 a.m. in the morning, and it usually takes me 2 hours to get to sleep. But I want to thank you all. David, thank you for coming on again, and I'd like you to come on again at some point. I think you're an awesome guest on the show. Lee, my friend, you look absolutely knackered. And Rich,
I'm tired. I've done nothing but sleep today as well.
Yeah,
getting over this bug. I've done nothing but sleep today, and I can't wait to go and do some more sleep.
Yeah, Rich, have you got a show tonight?
Yeah.
Is it when's the show?
2 hours. Don't know what it's about yet.
I think it's going to be about aliens.
Nope.
No
more aliens.
He doesn't believe in aliens anymore.
No, I don't believe in anything. It's just going to be a blank screen. Create your own talk. That's what it's going to be tonight. That's not a bad idea, actually.
It's not.
Yeah, get the guests in.
No.
Open forum.
No.
I love it when you do that.
Nope, nobody loves it. It's the same 5 people that keep calling in. We need to have,
have a new rule
waiting in line. There's no rules. Like, what kind of rule? Give me an example real quick. See, you don't have one.
The same people can't call in.
Everybody watching can't wear pants. That's a good rule.
I like that wearing any.
That's a different live stream.
Yeah, I don't know what tonight's going to be yet. I've been thinking about it. I have no idea. I just haven't had the time today.
Well, I'm sure it'll be an awesome show, and I'll look forward to watching it in the morning on the way to work, because I've got a big morning tomorrow. So it'll take about 3 hours of me being on my own, which means I get to listen to your show.
Well, I'll make sure it's better than normal.
Well, yeah, because I'll be listening.
Yeah.
But thank you very much, boys, for joining us tonight.
Thanks.
Good night. God bless. Mind the bugs don't bite. Yes. It has been good. I've enjoyed the foursome. Always
Who doesn't?
Those. Good night.